You stepped on her. Yeah, you did. Hey guys, welcome to 3 Mississippi. Sid here. Thanks for clicking on the video. Summer is coming to a close and we are quickly approaching fall. And that means that if you have birds or if you're thinking of getting into birds, there's some things you need to be considering this time of year. So I'm going to go over a few of those tips for you today that are from personal lived experience. And I'm also going to show you a new potential visitor slash resident of the farm. One of the things that I like to do this time of year, and I usually do this twice a year, I usually do this in the fall, right before winter, and I do it again at the end of winter when we're heading into spring, is gut the coop. I like to use the play sand in the bottom. I like to gut that completely out, get it down to its studs, and I scrub it down and then replace all the sand that I use. I use this handy dandy thing. This is the best thing that I have found. It's actually made in the USA. I'm not sponsored by them or nothing, but I found this on like some random online ad, and this does a great job of getting the sand out but keeping the junk in. I cleaned it out this morning, and I clean it out every morning, which is why I'm able to clean it out, you know, twice a year like that. This keeps your flies down. This keeps your bugs down, your worms, your little flies and gnats. It keeps all that down during the summer when you're able to keep it clean like that. And I have tried all different beddings, but definitely I prefer the sand. But after the heat of the summer, and before we get into, you know, the wet season, I like to get this really gutted, really well cleaned out. And then, like I said, I like to do it again after we come out of the winter time where they've spent a lot more time inside the coop generally because of inclement weather, and really get it cleaned out. Keeps that bug profile way down low inside your coop. Speaking of bugs, I got something a couple of days ago that has changed my bug game in the house. Let's go take a look. I have had a problem in the kitchen, as I normally do, in the South, in the spring and summer, and even into the fall, going into before the bugs officially disappear in the winter. We get these little gnats, these little bugs in the kitchen all the time, and it doesn't matter how clean your kitchen is. I have talked to all my friends and they have the same issue. Live in the country, you live with animals. I see one flying right now. They're just here everywhere. Wow Catch was nice enough to send me one of their little systems that plugs into a regular outlet. You can plug it in anywhere. I'm gonna be putting it into the kitchen, and let's see if we can get this set up. It should be pretty easy peasy lemon squeezy. This Wow Catch flying insect light trap is supposed to catch fruit flies, gnats, house flies, and basically anything that, any of your regular bugs that would be in your house that you'd be concerned about. Each one comes with the actual unit and then a couple replaceable little sticky things. These are non-toxic. They're safe around your kids, your pets, your food. So it comes with 3 of these little inserts that when you peel the film off are sticky and will catch the bug. So I just need one. So I love that there are no chemicals in this. It's simply UV light that draws them in. It actually will also work as like a nightlight in the kitchen, which is nice. So really simple, supposedly. Let's see if even an idiot like myself can do it. Just peel the film off of each side, like so. And then we're gonna stick this card. Yeah, it's sticky, but it's not like gonna peel your eyeballs out or anything. And then you just simply insert it into this slot, like so. And then we're gonna plug it in. There we go. I turned off the under the cabinet light so you can see that kind of glow that it puts out. It's just a real soft little blue UV light. So I'm gonna check back on this in a few days and see if it's actually caught anything, to see how well it worked in here. But I'm hopeful that this will do the trick. I'm gonna actually keep my little compost bin right by it, so that hopefully when they try to fly out of here, they'll fly right in there and get stuck. Okay guys, so here's the real test with these bugs now that it's been a few days. I put this up on Thursday of last week. Today, as I'm filming this, it is Tuesday. So it's been about 5 days. And let's see how the bug collection is looking. Would you look at that? Look at that. Try to get it really close so you guys can see. That's the one side and that's the other side. A lot of little gnats and fruit flies that you wouldn't have even noticed. Like, look at that. It's crazy. And that's just after a couple days. It's definitely been working. And it also acts as a really nice little nightlight, guys. So I'm not mad at those results at all. No smell, no nothing, totally pet safe. And that, I said pet safe and she came running. Toothless knows there's no issue here. She's totally safe with this thing. And she's good to go, huh? So it's nice to be able to keep those flies down and those little gnats and bugs down in the house. So if you guys like the Wow Catch, go check out the link in the description to see where and how to get your very own. Days have already started getting shorter around here, and before too much longer, it's going to be dark at 4:30 in the afternoon. And if you know anything about birds, you know that the way that they produce their eggs is highly regulated by the amount of light they receive in a day, which leads me to my next tip going into the winter. Usually your layers, your laying hens, whether it be your chickens or your ducks, whatever it is that you're using for eggs, are pretty prolifically laying during the summer. During the summer, we have the most amount of daylight, and if you have a flock that is still within their high production years, you're going to be covered in eggs, which is fantastic. But what happens is in the winter, when our daylight is shorter, our birds don't lay as much. There's a few reasons for this as well. As the temperature drops, their bodies are conserving their energy and using that to keep themselves warm instead of to produce eggs. So you're likely to not get the bird that was giving you 5 eggs a week on average, is now going to maybe be giving you 2 or 3 a week. And some girls that are maybe a little bit older might even slow down to once a week or something like that during the winter. And if you're somebody who likes to do a lot of baking during the winter, or just likes to eat eggs regularly or cook with them, you don't want to have a beautiful backyard flock and be forced to then go to the grocery store and buy eggs, right? How embarrassing is that? Not just for you, but for your girls, right? It makes them look bad. So here's what I suggest. I know a lot of us that have extra eggs tend to give them to neighbors and friends and things like that. And I'm not saying don't stop doing that, but give yourself a couple week period while they're still laying really well before the days get too short, and water glass some of those eggs. It's really easy to do. They can stay shelf stable under the right conditions for a year. Some people say 2 years. So I say somewhere between a year and 2 years. I've got some on the shelf right now that I water glassed last year. I've used 1 whole jar of them, and you can't tell the difference between the fresher eggs and that as far as taste. Sometimes you can tell when you go to break them, the way that they separate a little bit, but there's no smell to them. They're not rotted. They are perfectly fine to eat and use just like a normal egg. It's a really simple procedure to do. You just get yourself a big old glass jar. You make sure your eggs are nice and clean and not cracked at all. If you miss a crack in there, it can spoil your entire jar when you do it. So make sure that all those eggs are pretty pristine when you go to do this. I'll leave the exact measurements and things down here below in the description for you guys. But if you're wanting to do it yourself, and I'll also put the card up here for the video that I did on it last year that also has that information. But it's a pretty easy procedure, and that means that you can have shelf-stable eggs to get you through the winter, or to get you through any times where maybe your girls aren't laying as much, whether they're molting or whatever. This time of year is also a great time to decide what you want your flock to start to look like in the next year. Now, if you're somebody who's just starting your flock, that might mean deciding what birds are most heat or cold tolerant, depending on what climate you live in. Might be whether or not it's a dual purpose bird that can be used really well for meat or for eggs. Whatever the criteria that's important to you, it's time to research some of those breeds and decide which is a good fit for your environment and for what you're looking to get out of them. Or if you're just looking to do some straight meat birds for the season. A lot of hatcheries, I tend to use McMurray. Their Cornish cross orders start the beginning of November, and that's when most of their birds for spring open up, with the exception of things like turkeys, some breeds of duck, and some breeds of geese. I recommend, if you're going to be thinking about doing that kind of an order, that you go ahead and make plans, look at your calendar, figure out when you want them to arrive, understand that it's going to take 4 weeks approximately for them in the brooder to be ready to come out to pasture, and then another at least 4 weeks before most people would want to consider processing them. Me, for example, a lot of times I will do 2 to 3 batches of meat chickens over the spring and summer. I put my order in November, which I've planned out. So I'll get my first batch usually in January, usually towards the end of January, and then I will process that first batch in April. I usually get another batch 4 weeks after I get the first batch, 4 to 6 weeks after I get the first batch. So that would mean sometime in February or beginning part of March. And then I repeat the process, 4 weeks in the brooder, and then move them out to the pasture, as I'm then planned to process birds out for winter camp or to sell, or whatever it is you're planning on doing with them. This year, I am not going to be doing any meat birds. We did actually one less batch than we planned on doing this year, but we found that we didn't have a really big market for meat birds in our area, and so we have plenty to last us for a while. And so I'm not going to be ordering any meat birds, and I'm actually going to skip this season. This will be the first year, other than the year that we moved here, that I won't have done meat birds. So it feels a little weird. But if you look behind me, I've got several turkeys. I hatched all those out. I have a Tom, and I've got several Jennies hanging around here. And if I wanted to, I can collect their eggs and I can incubate them and make more, just like I can do with my chickens. So if you already have a flock and maybe you have some that you want to make more of, now would be the time to start thinking about that for when you want to start incubation. If you're also doing meat birds, or you're planning on having something else in the brooder as well, you might as well set the timing up so it's the same, so you're running everything at the same time. Or if they need to be staggered, that you do the math on that, so that you know you've got 35 days if you're doing some of the ducks, or 28 depending on if it's a certain breeds of ducks or turkey, and that way you can rotate them through appropriately through the incubator and then again through the brooder. That way you're not having any issues with, oh, I've got the wrong birds in here, these guys are going to be too little when they're hatched, and these guys are going to be too big and I can't put them in the brooder together. This way you've got it planned out and you know what to do. Now, going off of handling your flock and getting it planned out and thinking about if you're putting in orders in, or if you're going to be breeding, whatever kind of birds you're doing, even if you're doing meat birds, but maybe you're doing American breasts or something like that, planning all of that out, you're going to need a way to pasture them, at least in my opinion. That's the only way to do it, in my opinion, if you're going to raise your own meat. And so this is a chicken tractor. Mike and Frankie built this a couple years ago. As you can see, the tarp on top has a lot of sun damage and is broken now. The last windstorm that came through sort of disintegrated it a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact. But right now, before it starts to get too cold, wet, and rainy, and we're in kind of a nice time of weather a little bit, if you're thinking of doing meat birds this season, or if you need a pen in order to separate birds in the spring for breeding purposes, build yourself something like this. This is great to have. During the meat bird season, obviously, this is what we tractor them in. I use the dolly and I move it a square every day, and they have fresh pasture. We're able to spread their manure that way. They're able to dig for new bugs and eat the grass, along with some of their feed. And they're protected with the wire around it from predators. So building something like that, now would be the time to do it. There's a million different designs for chicken tractors and things like that. But like I said, if you're going to be doing meat birds, don't wait till spring when you're trying to scramble and slap something together. think about starting it now. Think about maybe saving up for some of the materials, maybe building part of it now, finishing it out when you get a little bit closer. That way you're not feeling pressured when it's time to actually get them out of the brooder, because trust me, those meat birds, if you're doing regular Cornish cross, they explode fast. And when they hit that point, you literally, I'll look at them one day and go, oh, they're too small to go outside. The next day I look at them and go, oh my goodness, I need to get you out there today. And that way, when that happens, I have this ready. I can literally get them out there later that day and it's not an issue. I use this when there's an animal that's injured, when there's an animal that's sick, when I want to separate for breeding purposes. This thing comes in handy as an extra separate pen that I can use for those things in the off season. So it's definitely something to consider, to have something that is mobile, that is easy to throw an animal into, for all of those reasons. But the primary reason, the reason that it exists, of course, is as a chicken tractor. Now, the last tip I'm going to give you guys is sort of actually goes along with the first one that I went over about deep cleaning your coop. It's a good time to consider some of the things you're going to do to weatherize your animal structures. Now, if you have a good hardy coop that's got protection from the wind and rain, then you are covered. But maybe you live in an area where it gets extremely cold. We're talking, you know, really cold, like -degrees cold, for extended periods of time, where watering your animals becomes an issue. Think about how you're going to combat that and what are the best options for you. I know that there's a lot of devices, there's a lot of water heaters, there's a lot of things like that that are on the market that people swear by and love them. I tend to, because we only have a couple of days where our temperatures reach a point where water troughs freeze and things like that, I tend to just kind of make do. I take my pickaxe and I hack through the water and I take the ice out as best I can, let it melt in a separate bucket during the day. I refill extra waters ahead of a freeze, things like that to get me through, because like I said, our freeze doesn't usually last more than a few days here before I can get the hose kind of working again. So it's not as big an issue for us here in northern Mississippi. But if you're in, you know, somewhere in Canada or in North Dakota, be thinking about the weather, be thinking about how you're going to protect your animals from the extreme weather in your area. I mean, this obviously goes for summertime too, dealing with heat and things like that. But of course, during the winter, we want to keep in mind keeping the wind out, keeping the rain, snow, sleet, hail, all of those things away from an area where the birds can hunker down and stay warm, dry, and safe. So guys, I did mention that we have potentially a new resident here, and I'll show you some video of that in just a second that I filmed with her. But we got home from church, a church meeting last night, and I saw this little run across the porch, but I could see where Bunko was, and I said, oh, Mr. Bunko's got a visitor. And it was a little black and white cat, kind of on the young side, I would say, definitely under a year. I would, if I had to, if pressed, I would say probably around 8 months or so, but I could be wrong. Very skinny, had definitely broken its tail at some point, and it's healed, and just very vocal little cat. So take a look. So guys, last night, I gotta be a little bit quiet and I have to stay kind of far because she's very skittish, but this little cat showed up. I'm guessing just from looking at her, she's probably like 6 to 8 months old. And I think her tail was injured at some point because it's kind of like, I don't know, it almost looks like it was broken and healed. And she came up to the front porch when we came home last night from a church meeting. She was on the front porch, and I caught a flash of her when I pulled up, and she skidded under this couch. And Bunko, of course, was like, not being mean to her, but kind of doing his like, you know. There she is. So she's going in there. She ate a bunch last night, and then I checked on her after I left her alone for a little while. She did let me pet her, but she just stands there and yells the whole time, and then eats a ton. So she's in there eating where Bunko's food is right now. I knew she was nearby this morning when I came out because he was still kind of acting like weird. And he's like not in my lap right now. Like I knew she was nearby. Hi baby, it's okay. Let's see if you guys, but I'm trying to ease her into trusting me. But she's really cute. Eat some food and see if she'll become a little more trusting over me. She's not like feral. So she came out, but she just stands here and kind of yells. She let me get a little bit close to her this morning, but not as close as yesterday. Bunko is keeping his distance right now. You guys can see how tiny she is. She's pretty tiny. Sweet Pea, see her tail? It kind of looks like it got squished at some point and then healed weird. But she won't let me get close enough to grab her. And she's going back in the catio. And she was just standing in there yelling earlier after she finished eating. So I called her over. She's getting really close to me, as you can see. Hey, it's okay. Can you let me pet you again? Yeah. Good girl. Yeah. Oh, a little kiss. Yeah, it's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you, baby. Come here, baby. It's okay, you're so skinny. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's much better than the pets we were given yesterday, huh? It's okay. Oh, sweet little girl. Sweet angel. You're so skinny. Oh, you're so skinny. I know. You're such a skinny mini. I know, Pumpkin. Oh, she's just skin and bones. I can feel her spine. I know. Look at you. Oh, you haven't been pet or give loves before, huh? But you like it now that you trust me. Yeah. Oh, sweet angel. Yeah. Oh, that's a good girl. You just want to what? I don't know what you want, sweetheart. You're just yelling. I know you're uncomfortable. Yeah, her tail's definitely healed, but she definitely had something happen to her, and she's so skinny. Yeah, you're so skinny. You're so skinny. Oh, kisses. Oh, she's giving me kisses. I know, baby. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Sweet angel. She's exploring. Yeah. I did pick her up, but she wasn't wild about that. She didn't try to hurt me or anything, but she got squirmy. Not quite enough trust for that yet. But she will let me pet her, and she's... I don't know why. I've never had a cat scream this much, though, for no apparent reason. I mean, she's eaten this morning, and she ate last night. So I can't figure out why she's quite this vocal. I know. I hear ya. I hear ya. You want up? Come on. I guess I need to start thinking of names for you if you're going to be a new porch kitty. She looks like a cat that was a stray that my aunt adopted when I was little. That was black and white that had the same kind of little dot on its face. Oh, here we go. Hey, everybody be nice. Everybody be nice. Be nice. It's okay, Bunko. Be nice. We talked about this. Bunko. I know. Bonk. It's okay, Sweet Pea. It's okay, Bonk. He gets very pouty. He doesn't like it when other cats come around. Yeah, her tail's definitely broken at some point, but it's not. I know. It looks like it's healed that way from when I touched it. I know. You're okay. You're okay. Oh. Anyway, my aunt called her Miss Kitty. But I don't know if that's a good name for you. I think we need to think of a new name for you. Yeah, what should we call you? You gonna hang around here? Gonna hang around? Gotta think of a good name for you. Kind of look like a little dairy cow with your colors, huh? With your pattern. Yeah. Should we call you Heifer? Hi, Heifer. Maybe? I don't know. Sweet potato. You're definitely vocal. Yeah, you're definitely vocal. You have a lot to say. I'm gonna post in my neighborhood group now that I got a couple good photos of her. Just to see if this is somebody's cat that got away from them at some point. Because she's clearly not straight up feral. Although I have had cats that were straight up feral that never had an owner. That our cat Mama Kitty, for those of you that go way back with us, she was completely feral. The previous owner had her, she had been on the property and she had just started feeding her, but she said she's never let me get within 3 feet of her. And within the first 2 weeks of living there, Mama Kitty was letting me love on her. So, hi. Oh, yeah. Do we just need love? We just need love and food, huh? So as you can see, she came back again this morning. I don't think she ever really left, because when I came out this morning to feed Bunk, he was acting kind of off and sort of like looking around and kind of going a little here and there, but I couldn't see her. When I came and sat down on the porch with him and had my coffee, he was still acting off, and that's when she made her presence known when I sat down. So we'll see if she comes back again tonight. She definitely knows where food and water is now. She definitely let me love on her. I was able to pick her up, like I said. She wasn't wild about being picked up, but she definitely enjoyed the petting. And she came over to me when I went like this on the ground. So we'll see. I did post in my neighborhood group chat. Nobody's saying, oh yeah, that's my cat. She's definitely wild, but not feral. So we'll see if she keeps coming around. I'll continue to feed her. And we'll see how she does. Like I said, I am worried about her because she is very skinny. I'm not going to try to like trap her and take her to the vet because she is kind of wild, and there are a lot of cats that live wild out in the creek and things like that. And so we'll see. Mike is a sucker for animals, even though he claims he's not. So if she gets to the point where he's seeing her a lot, he'll be like, why don't you go ahead and take her to the vet? Why don't you go ahead and do this? I think we're starting to get rain. Yeah, we are. We're getting a little bit of rain randomly. Who knew? Anyway, so that's the story for her. I obviously don't have a name for her. I've been calling her Miss Kitty Ma'am, and but that's about it. I haven't really come up with a name for her yet. I'm going to give her a couple more days and see if she keeps coming around before I make it official. But after seeing video of her, if you guys have any ideas of what her name should be, keeping in mind the kind of names that I like to give on the farm, like Karen, head of HR, and you know, we had Bernice from accounting, of course, but now Susan has taken over the accounting position now that Bernice is no longer with us. And then I have, of course, the whole sales and marketing department team. So, you know, and Barbara Jean, of course, is the executive assistant of the year. So, you know, we've got our names that we like, and, you know, some of them are weird and some of them are funny. And so try to think of something that I would like the name to be. And maybe that'll help. If it doesn't give me the actual name, maybe it'll help prod me along to think of a good one. We'll see. But it's always exciting to have a potential. Oh, there's Lundy making a special appearance in the window. Getting her snot all over the window that I just cleaned too, probably. No doubt. Yeah, she loves that. So there's my tips, guys, for things to get you ready with your flock for the upcoming year, and some things that I will be doing in the next week or so to clean my coop and things like that, to refresh everything. And of course, I will be on the lookout for our new little baby girl kitten that's been wandering around. and see if she sticks around or not. So new babies on all fronts, I guess. Got those ducklings wandering around there too, and they've just sort of become part of the landscape now at this point. It's been a couple weeks. I hope you found some of those tips or ideas helpful today. If you're either needed a reminder, if you already have a homestead or a farm and you need a reminder of getting going on some of those things, or if you're thinking about starting those things, now is a good time to consider it instead of waiting until spring and then being scrambled to try to get everything done. If you like that wow catch, guys, make sure you check that link in the description. I gotta say, it worked really well and it has kept the little gnats in the kitchen away and got them stuck, and they are leaving me alone. So I'm all for less bugs inside the hacienda, because Lord knows I deal with enough bugs outside the hacienda 24/7, although it's almost winter, and that's when they crawl back down into the depths of hell and they leave me alone for a couple of months. So it's always a positive. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you. As always, stay blessed, and remember, safety's off.